again. It's a new recording, so
Now
we get out of the way.
What am I talking into this?
Yep. That's pretty good even from like right here. People will be able to hear it.
Yep.
This can hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, it'll hear you fantastic.
Okay.
This is the same mic that we've had a couple years ago,
Okay.
and people heard like the entire room.
Okay.
Get it set up right. Okay.
So we
in
can
case-
do video too?
Yeah, we do video as
Okay.
well. In case you guys don't know who this is, Gecko, Star Trek Online.
That's me.
Yep.
Hello.
So as I always start the interview, so for our viewers, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Al Rivera. I am the lead designer of Star Trek Online, and I am exhausted.
It's the last day of the convention.
Of course,
Yes.
Everyone here is exhausted, except for maybe me because I got here yesterday. So
Well, it's physically exhausted and meant and
Drove 30 hours to do it, so
Yeah.
non-stop.
this is true. I'm still like ready to go around
It's
and do
nice.
another marathon.
Yeah.
No. Well, you have fun with that. I'm physically exhausted. I'm also mentally exhausted, and
It happens here because you guys especially had panels that you
we
went
had 5
and did.
panels. I did 3 panels. We had 5 total.
Did you guys do the iBar this year?
We did the iBar as
When
well.
was that?
Friday night at 8 o'clock.
Damn it, I miss it.
Yeah. We did the
Just
iBar,
barely
and
by a
then,
few hours.
and then we went to karaoke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been there. But at that time I was probably in like Colorado or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you missed Klingon karaoke Thursday.
I miss Klingon karaoke.
Yes.
So obviously you guys have had a lot of stuff. You've done something different this year that you didn't do last year, and that's with the chair, the Discovery chair.
Oh, what it's a TOS chair.
Yeah, the TOS chair.
It's a TOS chair. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got that that you did this year that you didn't have last year.
Yeah,
You're
well,
also
our
bigger
booth,
this year.
The
too.
booth is a triple-sized booth. Yeah, last year we only had a single. This year we got a triple booth.
Yeah, you guys
Stepping
are
up our
fast.
game. Yeah, and then we got a captain's chair that we had specially made, and we're going to bring it around to other conventions. And I'm trying to get them to let me have it as my office chair. So we'll see if that will happen.
Oh, it's got a pretty
Well,
big step up there.
Yeah.
Well, see,
All right.
you know, it's going to get wasted otherwise.
Yeah, I know. What else are you gonna do with it? Gonna be a closet?
Logic.
No, just
Logic.
in my office chair. I think that makes total sense.
So,
go ahead.
obviously, you guys just got done with the panel. And
Yes.
some major announcements.
Big news.
A few announcements.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, I think for
She's
me,
got a
one
question.
of the biggest
She was
ones-
there.
I
Got a
was the one that was there.
Okay, so
Yeah. So you probably saw me.
I saw you.
Yeah. But so one of the big things. So Captain Killy, we're going to see
The actual
Captain
Killy. Yeah.
not Tilly playing Captain Killy,
Right. But Killy.
but Killy.
Killy. Yeah.
So can you tell us anything more about that?
No, absolutely not.
Just a teaser.
I can tell you. You won't see that until January.
It's one of those things you have to mute and kill us if you did.
Yeah. No.
I know.
I might just kill you. I'm good.
And then,
We have too many questions as it is. It's our job to ask questions.
No, I mean the important thing to take away with the panel, with the announcement of Killy and Reka as Landry, is that we are. It's not that we have the next season is Age of Discovery and here's all the stuff, right? And then we go on the next thing. Age of Discovery is the name of our next era for Star Trek Online.
Yeah.
Okay.
so how is this going to differ from seasons from what we've had up to now? Because up till now we've had 3 months, and then we have a half season.
Yeah.
And then so every 3 months we have a half season.
Yeah.
And then every 6 months we have the full season. So like right now, Victory's Live, and then
it's every 3 months is a release, so it's full season, half season, full season, half season,
Right.
and then sometimes we take a little break while we're developing an expansion,
Right.
drop an expansion every 18
Right.
months or something like that.
Well, you got to have time to
then-
plan and develop stuff to be able to
Well,
do.
we develop it in
So
we
then-
develop our expansions at the same time as our seasons, but then we just have to at some point take a break and everyone work on the expansion and that sort of
Right.
thing.
So then I think the question for me is, with Age of Discovery being a new era rather than a season or an expansion or a half season, how is it going to be different?
Well, I mean, you're still going to see content release. Should I look here? Should I look here? I feel like I should look
Either
there.
way.
Okay.
That's fine.
I don't want to be rude to you, but I don't want to be rude to the
No,
audience.
that's fine.
Okay.
You be rude to her. I give you full permission to be
So,
rude to her.
but I can see you in there, so we'll talk to each other that way.
Yeah.
It's live radio, guys. We'll figure it out. Is it live? We live?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're live.
See, that's live. Isn't it?
We are live.
Okay.
We're also recording, so.
That's fine.
So some of you fly, we're going to take and put up onto YouTube and plaster all over the.
No, that's awesome. It'll be fine. So the important message, take away is that we're still going to be releasing content at a similar rate that we always have released things every 3 or 4 months or so. But what I mean by that is we're built effectively. We just released an expansion of the Deep Space Nine expansion where you can play as a Dominion. But now what we want to release effectively a Discovery expansion, but we can't do it in 3 months. It's just not
It's
possible.
gonna take time.
Right. So we're effectively releasing an expansion over the course of multiple seasons. Is what we're doing. So that's what we mean by the Age of Discovery. So we're gonna release with just some content. We're gonna let you play as Discovery and a couple missions and Q and and art and ships and all that stuff to support. Here's our and Mary Wiseman will join us for that initial release. But our next release will be more Discovery to support that, and our next release will be more until we have what we're satisfied with as a complete, arc chunk of Discovery.
Yeah, whatever it ends up being in the end.
Yeah, so that's basically where our story is going, and it also is going to be done a little differently in that we will be doing some content in Discovery era and some content in 2409 era, and there's kind of going back and forth. So in
So
some
a little
ways,
time travel, basically.
so I'm not even going to speculate necessarily if it's actually time travel as much, and some of it might be time travel, some of it might be a little different.
Or
But
memories or something like that.
we'll get into the details, but the fact is that, for instance, you may get a tutorial and 2 pieces of content for our initial release of Age of Discovery that happens in the Discovery era, and then later we will put stuff in 2409, 2410, and then later we'll put stuff back in the Age of Discovery era and can go back and forth like that. We're kind of developing like 2 arcs at the same time, but going back and forth to fill up all of this, to have a real Discovery experience across the game.
Yeah, understood.
So it'll just keep and with that, that's why we wanted to bring out Reika, is because yes, it's going to be, Mary Wiseman as Tilly, and then as Killy, and then we'll bring Reika as Landry, and then who knows who we get next after that to continue the story and bring the next Discovery persona on board.
Okay.
So definitely plans to recruit more of our Discovery actors into the game.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I know there were. So you also announced there's going to be the tardigrade.
Yeah, we showed some art of the tardigrade.
did.
Yeah.
So how is that planning on being incorporated into the game? Can you tell us anything?
There'll be a tardigrade.
Okay, well, I think one question was asked of me, and I was like, I'm not. There's at one point where I was like, I'm not Gecko. They were asking if it was going to be a mount. So you can shoot that one down. I would say no. If it was going to be a mount, it would be. They would port it over to Neverwinter.
Yeah. The funny story that Neverwinter released their basilisks, which happens to have 8 legs. So we stole their rig to make the tardigrade. So, and theirs is a mount. We don't do mounts. That's just not what Star Trek is about.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to be running around on tardigrades or targs or
So
whatever.
I asked the question. You got your answer.
No, it's not a mount.
We do have a question of someone's asking about some ships, but is there any plans to add an engineer or attack ships resembling the Crossfield?
To an engineer, are there plans to add an engineered attack ship resembling the Crossfield? There are lots of new ships in Discovery. We'll be making those before we'll be making up our own.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Discovery is the Discovery what it is. It's basically a tactical science vessel, basically. And hey, there's I'm not familiar. I still haven't wrapped my brain around all the different classes of ship, but we already. But there's the Europa, and then there's the Shan, and those are the names. There's the Gormagander. I don't remember the classes yet. Still working on memorizing those. Plus all the Klingon ships. So there's lots of, and there's the new Constitution, right? So there's lots of new, fun, exciting Discovery ships. That's really good news for us because we're starting to run out of ships. We got to make up our own.
I mean, you've
You guys
got
been
over
pulling in or
800.
making
We make our own, make up our own. We make T6 versions of older ones we haven't done. And I still want to make like a T6 Titan Luna class. So we don't have one of those. Something I've wanted to do for a while.
I know a bridge set that I'd love to have you guys make, but it might be a little too powerful if you did.
A bridge set?
Like a bridge officer set for a ship. Commander, pilot, commander, lieutenant commander, as a that is the. Why am I forgetting that now?
See, if he knew, I would have done it, but he forgot, so we're just not going to do it
So
now.
we're not going to do it now.
Damn it!
There you go.
It was my shot.
There you go.
That is a shot.
I could have got my most powerful ship ever.
Your article about Age of Discovery had teased being able to make a
Too
Discovery
late. All right.
era,
The moment's over.
being able to make a Discovery era cadet, right? Now I'm curious, is that going to be handled similar to how we saw the Delta recruits and the Agents of Yesterday?
I'm not
The
quite sure.
TOS expansion?
I'm not quite sure what you're
So,
asking me.
Will there be a event, and will that get like special rewards that we can?
You want
unlock
what? You want a
right now?
recruiting event?
Similar, yeah. Possibly. I'm wondering if that's going to be handled.
No.
not for the initial release, but basically we want to have a whole bunch of discovery stuff, and before we say, okay, we've got enough of what we would say is equivalent to an expansion, and then we'll release with maybe an event to go with that.
Okay.
Now, one thing that I would ask, and I know a lot of people complain about this with any MMO, unfortunately, Star Trek Online is one of those that gets fewer than a lot of stuff. But are you guys planning to release more missions, more stories in the arc as part of this?
Well, I mean,
like adding more missions, like in the past you've done like 2 or 3 stories, and it goes on to the next story type storyline when it goes into. Are you going to do more, dig it into things?
Are you asking me if I'm just going to do more missions, or are you asking me if we're doing a longer story arc?
Like more missions.
Well, that's all we do is missions. You want.
I think
But in the story arc, it goes on and it stops after a little while.
Our story arcs, our last story arc, which is part of Victory's life, started back in Sunrise episode after Agents of Yesterday with the
it's
Lucari,
a continuation with that
with
because
the,
it goes right.
It picks right up from the time travel, and then we get the Tatsu Tot story and that kicks off the Lucari, which goes into the Nakul and goes into the Agents of Yesterday storyline, and comes from that, goes to exploring. You find the Herc eggs, and then the Zenkethi War. What's that about? Oh goodness, it's Herc, and then the Dominion show up. That's been an arc that's been going on for like 18 months.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would make an arc any longer than that. I'm not sure what the question is. We release content as fast as we can make it. It takes 6 to 9 weeks for just one content designer to make one piece of content, plus an artist, an assistant designer, and environmental artist, and effects artists, and animators, and cutscenes. So, we're talking.
I think what Scott means when he says story arc, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of the way that players tend to look at it is like you release Victory's Life, and you have those episodes, Turning the Tide, and
that was 7 or 8, an 8 episode
all the
arc.
way up to home, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of players see that as a separate individual story arc.
Well,
and when they say story arc, that's generally what they're referring to.
Well, that's called the. That's the. It's part of the Gamma. The Gamma arc, right? It's 8 episodes long, and that came out all at once because it was an expansion, and we wanted expansion.
Yeah.
This is the story arc that comes with that. It was, though, basically dovetailed from the previous arc, the Zenkethi Crusades.
Oh yeah, and I fully understand that. Don't get me wrong.
So it's all one big arc there. The answer is what? Can we make more missions? We made as many as we could, and we're going to keep making as many as we can, right? And they all kind of, if you look back and review all of our stories, all the way from day one, the Iconian arc and through Delta Rising, and then and then Agents of Yesterday, they all
lead into the
they
next
all
thing.
connect together.
Yeah,
right?
and I know there was one point in time when you guys went back and actually removed some missions because they didn't make sense for the story, or they didn't really tie.
And
in
we're actually going to do some of that actually with something we haven't talked about in Age of Discovery is we're going to clean up some of the older stuff, make some stuff a little better, put some stuff aside. Actually take it out of the arc for a little while until we can clean it up and put it back in, because we want to get new players who are coming in for Discovery to get them to the cool shit as fast as possible.
You want them into the new content, because if they're not playing the old content, you're not.
Right. So we're going to kind of tighten things up. We got enough content that we can, easily, so we can get you in, and we want to get you into seeing the celebrities quicker.
Now, one question going into this with this revamping of the stuff that you're going to do, are you going to revamp and rebalance the levels so that the levels aren't like, for example, I know at one point in time, I haven't played in a little while, but at one point in time there was about 20 or 30 at level 60, and so you hit level 60 and you could play these. Well,
that's actually all been straightened out, right? And when we had once you had with Delta Rising, it slowed down, right? And it was originally intentional, and then we decided and we changed that. So.
Thank you for changing.
There'll be no level cap for any episode, so you can just play them. You'll never hit
because it scales now.
Yeah, all the content scales for your level, so there's no level cap, and you'll be able to you'll be at level 60 and still have plenty of content to play.
Yeah.
Right. So and all good content. So we're going to try to get rid of some of the chaff until we can kind of update them to a higher quality, because our quality has just keep increasing. So it's like, you know what?
Oh yeah.
Like when we released the Breen arc, it was like it was our best arc at the time. It's really dated now, right? So
it doesn't feel as smooth.
It was really good when it first came out compared to old stuff.
Yep.
But, so it's just we keep getting better, and then we gotta gotta take this stuff old out. And,
you gotta go back and touch up those stuff, so it feels the same way all the way through.
Even Victoria's Life is already.
It's up probably already started looking
way above
compared.
Just even last year's stuff, right? So, and that's another reason why there are only 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Right? Better stuff takes longer.
Yes.
It just does. So
it's like you got a lot of stuff you're trying to do.
it's like, you want more stuff or you want better stuff? No, I want more better stuff. Well, tough. There's nothing we can do about that. We can do one or the other, and I think that everyone appreciates the better stuff. So it just takes longer to do.
It's like the questions I'm asking
we used to do,
from the Facebook group.
So no, it's fine. We used to do missions in a week. When we first launched, we do a whole mission in a week.
Yep.
Then we started doing them in 3 weeks, and for a long time we started doing them, taking 6 weeks to do them. And but for instance, Tenebra's Torque went, that was almost 12 weeks. Magnificent Frankie was 12 weeks as well. So that's they're much higher bar. The one with Kaiopaka and the one with the Kremen wasn't nearly as long. I think those were only 5 weeks to do. I'm speaking just for the designers.
Yeah.
And the animators and environment artists, different schedules, right? So obviously our cutscene animators taking a lot more time than the work that he's been doing there.
So the big thing I've been asked a lot about, Tier 6 reputation.
Yes.
So I know your article teased there's going to be.
Yeah, all our reputations will go to Tier 6. Now.
Okay.
So all our reputations will have more rewards. More rewards you can get, more, whatever that, more items and traits, more stuff.
Now another question I've been asked about that, because that was the first question was, will all the old reputations be updated to Tier 6?
Yes.
And then if they are, so now that we know they are, when we get to Tier 6, will we get another large mark and dilithium and whatnot reward like we did when we got to Tier 5?
You get another, you mean a big giant reward for it? It's
similar.
There will be a whole different set of rewards, which I'm not going to talk about right now. But the goal is to. This is going to synergize a little bit with some changes we're doing to queues, which we're now calling Special Task Force. We're just renaming them.
Right.
Same thing. Queues are just going to be called Special Task Force Operations (TFOs). Okay. That is what a queue will. It's just a rebranding but they're the same thing.
Well, technically, they've always had a similar name to that, anyway.
We used to call them Special Task Force, and but not all of them were technically Special Task Force. So now we're just rebranding them, as all of them as Task Force Operations, or Task Force if you want. And so we've been talking about for a long time, trying to make it so that all our queues are valid again. We've got a lot of great queues in there that people don't play. And so we've got some new systems coming out, which I won't talk in detail, but it's, so that way everybody's going to be interested in playing all the queues again. But if you're going to do that, and I've already finished my reputations, why would I care? So now you have reasons to want to play those queues. Maybe you finished all the queues, and maybe you've got something that you want to finish, but you can't get it going because everyone's already finished it. It's an old one. Maybe a new player, and you want to get, you want to get the Klingon, Omega done, right? So, but maybe no one's playing it. So we want to make sure that everyone will have reasons to want to play all the old queues, and be able to. Everyone will get good rewards for doing so.
Yeah.
And no matter what the queue is, no matter what the rep is something that everyone will get something out of that.
Now, have you thought about tying the queues into the storylines?
A lot of the queues are tied into the story.
No, like you have to do, like it's a requirement to do.
I would not make it a requirement because it's multiplayer content, and some people don't want to play multiplayer content.
Yeah.
So
the only reason I'm bringing that up is stuff that some other.
But we have talked about unlocking queues at earlier levels. So you play the Romulan arc, and you get a Romulan queue, and you can participate in that. Okay. There are lots of.
I mean,
there's lots of ramifications. Yeah, there's lots of ramifications for doing that, but that's something that would like to do.
Okay. Are there any questions from our audience? I can't quite see. I'm a bit far back.
If there were made Kobali ground mission skippable.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, yeah.
Because right now, you still have to go down and play.
We're going to change our adventure zones and a few pieces of content to basically be kind of optional that will take you there, but it's okay. Like Nimbus or the Kobali Adventure Zone, and you kind of go there for an initial mission.
Just an introduction, basically.
Yeah, and then it's like if you want to go and kind of explore, go ahead. Otherwise,
go on
to the next mission.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right now it's not that way, and that's probably one of the biggest things that I hear from people is when I do hear complaints is that it's things like that.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to get through to say the temporal front to get the Nakul shield, and they can't get there because they got to go do the Kobali stuff.
Right. So yeah. So you don't want to do it. You don't have to. All our content, unless there is a requirement that, for instance, a couple episodes require you have a bridge officer. So unless there's a requirement like that, so that an episode requires you have a bridge officer, I think, and you get duty officer. Excuse me, not a bridge officer. Pardon me, duty officer, and I think you get to duty officers at level 13 or something. So that mission will have a requirement that you are level 13. But unless there's a hard requirement like that, we will have no requirements on levels for content anymore, and you can skip whatever you like, and so you can skip any episode you like, and then specifically the adventure zones will be introduced to it, and if those adventure zones had missions in them, like the Ramen adventure zones had missions and the Kobali adventure had missions, those will go into the journal and you can play the missions directly without having to play through the war zone. Yep. Now that might mean you have to run your way through to get to the door, right? Because like there's the mission with Harry Kim that's in the Kobali Adventure Zone. It's in the middle of the Kobali Adventure Zone. You're gonna have to get there, but you don't have to.
Yeah, you can just teleport over to get to it. Yeah.
If you'd like.
Now we talked about this last year a little bit, but there's one question that they have here: is having a playable Section 31 faction. Yeah. We talked about the story arc last year, if I remember right.
Somebody brought that up at the convention, and I thought I hadn't considered it. I thought it was an interesting idea.
That was last year.
That was Seb.
It? Somebody brought it up to me.
Seb has been pushing hard for a Section 31 faction.
Section 31 hidden.
I saw that.
So if that gives you an answer,
well,
no.
I mean, right now, Discovery is our start. We already have another starting experience / sub-faction with Discovery, right? Think of it similar to the TOS Agents of Yesterday,
right?
Kind of, that we call them sub-factions. So no rush to make another sub-faction. We haven't even, we're just starting this one, but it's actually I think a cool idea. Intel was supposed to kind of take that place, right? But if we can make I mean, I don't even know if I would make a faction of Section 31, but
A couple story arcs, maybe.
more than a couple story arcs. Like, if you ever play like Skyrim, and you can be a werewolf if you want, but you don't have to be a werewolf, right? So like, I can go and like be a Section 31 thing and be a part of this organization.
Yep.
I don't know which form that would take, and I'm just brainstorming right now. These aren't plans. Just
well,
to be clear.
that's one of the things somebody even brought up, like, because there's not more than just Section 31. You got.
Well, you got Tal Shiar.
Yeah,
you got the Obsidian Order.
Obsidian Order, the Klingon Intelligence. You get all those. So each of those be relative to their specific factions and such.
Right. So anyway, just talking about it, but there's no time. No, we won't be doing a Section 31 faction anytime soon. But it's a clever idea. Maybe we can do something with that. So if we see more Section 31 stuff in Discovery, it starts becoming more likely, right?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's one of these you might be incorporating a mission or two on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, there's and right now the focus is pure Discovery, and so where you see the TV show is going to go is that we're going to try to dovetail off of that stuff. So that'll give you a better clue what they're.
And you guys are getting, and I know you can't tell us anything, and that's okay, but I want to make clear. So you guys are getting some spoilers or advanced knowledge from CBS.
Yeah, we work with them. They don't tell us everything, but they do give us some spoilers and say this is what we're going to do. This kind of general direction. You can't do this. You can do this. You can't do this because of this. So we get some general ideas, and we meet with them. We meet with them periodically. We've gone to meet them in LA a couple times. But still, they don't tell us everything. There's things that I get surprised about. They certainly don't tell us low-level details, but some broad strokes.
Right. I mean, for those that are going, well, how are they going to keep it up? Are they getting advanced information? So you are getting some things, enough that you can, keep things going in the same direction as
we meet with them, and we bring them ideas, and they say yes, or they say no, or they say, well, if you change this, and then we write it up, and they approve it. And they say, well, you can't do this because if this is going to happen, and here, take this, you can do something with this because we're not doing anything with that. So that's how that works.
In fact, there was something in the panel about, my brain is not remembering the name of the character. One of the characters that it was actually taken out of one of the Discovery episodes, and you guys are going to get to explore that.
One of the characters taking out...
I know I tweeted about it.
Are you talking about Ja'ula?
I think
Ja'ula's
so.
from the comics.
No, it's not true. It's, let's see. I'm bad, I know.
You call me bad about trying to remember what.
Please stand by.
I know.
Please stand by. In the meanwhile,
Pavo, there it is.
What? Pavo. Pavo's a planet.
Story of Pavo.
Pavo.
That she wanted to do on the show, but didn't have time. So she gave it to us, so we can bring that.
Pavo's the planet. Pavo's,
okay.
Not a person. Pavo.
Thank you.
Pavo is the.
It has been so long since I've actually watched it.
Pavo is the planet of blue crystal and energy beings, right? Where that's so there was stuff about that they didn't get to, that she wanted to explore, and just more of the fiction behind it. And so we're gonna get to kind of tell that a little bit more. That will be coming later. That's not coming out this fall.
No, we got something that's asking about getting another crack at the T6 Nagas, kind of like the Infinity Box, R&D, or Phoenix packs.
We're not going to sell it.
Yeah. That was a special.
It was a special promo for certain people, and we were just giving away a gift, and that's. We gave it to some people for certain reasons.
Yep. I know. I got one myself. I don't even. Yeah.
Good for you.
I've gotten a lot of stuff from you.
So.
You guys just out of the blue sent me a package that had the shirt and cups and hat.
They're just gifts, and we don't give gifts to everybody. We give gifts to certain people. It's a gift, and so thank you for playing, and here's a gift.
It's how it has been.
Yeah, we give lots of free stuff away to everybody, but sometimes we say, this person deserves something. That's what that was for.
I think we got time for a couple more questions. If you're willing.
admissions from the new Captain Picard TV show.
Yes.
Yeah, well, as you saw from the announcement, or read if you didn't see it, they don't even have a script. So
They don't.
I think that's it would be premature to even talk about that for us. But
We got time to let that spin up and get going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what they're
But
doing. We probably
as,
won't see that for a couple of years. And in the meantime, since this price tag probably went up, we'll start a GoFundMe to see whether or not we can afford them.
Well, as I was going to say, is I'm sure Kel would tell us at this point. Well, you know, we are a CBS licensed product, and it is it will be a CBS show.
Anything on
So
Star Trek
anything can
is fair game for us on Star Trek Online. So we work with all of CBS and Paramount, and so and they want to integrate everything into one universe, and we're part of that. One more.
Okay, one more. Did you see my previous?
And of course, Seb, I imagine they're going to have more weapon types. It's going to combine stuff. So I'm not going to ask that question. That's just coming down the line. See what happens. Raids for each T6 rep.
What's that? How about raids for each T6 reps? Well, if they mean raids, you mean task force operations. We don't do technically raids in Star Trek Online. The closest thing we did was I can't even remember the name of it. The big one at the end of Delta Rising, against the Vaudoir when they're trying to blow up the sun, which is elite only, and our content is we don't build raids. We build task force operations, which you know is queues, and we're going to be. We're not making 13 new ones, but there'll be one new one coming out with Age of Discovery in the fall, and then we will have probably one shortly after that. That should be fun, and we'll continue to make more queues. But we're not making. I don't know. I understand the questions. New raids for Tier 6 reps.
I mean, the only thing I think was like it'd be like other games. You got raids, you got to go do. It's the same as a queue. Is all it is.
If that's what you mean is queues, will there be more queues for each T6 rep? No, we're not making 13 new queues for existing reps.
Yeah.
There's plenty. We've got something like 90 queues in the game, and we'll be making new ones for new reps.
So while we are talking about queues, one more little mall Santa thing, and then I'm done.
Okay.
But one of the things that I hear a lot, and I agree with it, when you revamped the queue system, right? The
UI?
The UI, right?
Yeah.
The interface. One of the things that was removed was the ability to right-click a player and then add them to the queue from the drop-down menu that comes up.
Okay.
So I used to be able, before you revamp the UI, I used to be able to say Scott wanted to join my queue. He could type something in chat. I could right-click on his name in chat.
Okay.
And it would come up and it would say something like add player to challenge match or something along those lines. And I could click that and boom, he's in the queue. Or he's in our private queue list. Right? Now we can't do that anymore, and that's something that a lot of people are really
that's fair. I don't have an answer for you.
complain about.
If you
Anybody a suggestion that
Just
could be
a
incorporated?
suggestion, could that be
if you can
turned
get
possibly?
Thomas, the Cryptic Cat,
Yes.
who's in charge of UI,
Yes.
please direct all feedback and angry emails to him.
And then he can ignore. Oh no.
And then,
And then he can ignore it.
So you guys can feel free to go and chat with him about that. That's more his domain.
Awesome. I will do that then. Thank you.
But that's a fair feedback. So thank
It
you.
is.
Yeah.
And it's it's not a complaint, but it's one I hear all the time. It's one that I
No,
frankly
thank you. Thank you for bringing it up, and let's talk to Thomas about it.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
And,
All right.
and Dave, I don't think they know
How long will you
long
be
this-
focused on Discovery content until people don't play it?
There you go.
And tell us how long.
Right.
they're
It's just
focused.
like if people are fun, right? We'll just keep, we have a very rare and unique opportunity to be in sync with a live TV show and new TV shows. At least one that was announced today. We've heard, announcements of multiple others, including an animated series possibly. This is something that was announced a few weeks ago. So that's a very rare and unique opportunity. It's a gold mine for us to be able to have access to new locations, new characters, new ships, new fidget spinners and swords and gear and technology. So because we've done all of the things that, not all of them, but we've done a lot of stuff from Star Trek, and the well of stuff is getting dry, so this is really useful for us to have fresh new content like this and other series coming along, and so we're gonna leverage that, and we're gonna dive into that, and I can tell you, if you like Star Trek Online and if you like our stories, there's no reason why you won't like our other content. We tell our stories a certain way. I mean, we have Kelvin timeline stories and TOS stories and Enterprise stories, and they're all told. We have our own writers, and then we tell them our way. It's con, man. It's the con. It's always something fun. And so if you like our stories, you're gonna love our Discovery content with really great characters and beautiful art, and that's what we're gonna bring, and we plan our arcs way ahead of time, but at this point we're actually kind of pulling back on how far ahead we plan, because so much new stuff that we're going to learn with you guys, and it's like, oh, well, maybe that's really interesting. Maybe, oh, wow, they're going to do a thing on Mars. I'm making shit up. There's nothing on Mars. They're going to do this thing. We should totally do a thing with Mars then.
Confirmed content on Mars.
Exactly, right? So, and we'll go with that, or Picard's TV, new show comes out, and it's in Andromeda. We're going to go to Andromeda then, right? So confirmed content for Andromeda, not confirmed. But you get my point. Is that we are we're in a very different, exciting time, and so we are just going to go with what is exciting and interesting.
You're riding the roller coaster with CBS.
We're laying down the tracks as the train is coming. Is the way I like to say it. Yeah. So
awesome.
So there is.
We've taken up a lot of your time.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
We definitely appreciate it for you coming over and spending
You can't see him on the thing, but there he is. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here and representing Star Trek Online every year.
There's some things that I'm going to pass over to Kale that I want to discuss with you guys about possibly doing as part of our show on a regular basis, but we'll get into that later.
Sure.
I'll drop it in with Kale first.
Thank you for having me. Thank you again for being here. Thank you behind the camera. You can't see him, but he's beautiful. He's gorgeous, and he looks just like me apparently.
I want to say thank you for getting me to watch Discovery.
Thank you for watching. It is a brilliant show, and I know it's not traditional Trek, but as I was explaining to you before, Star Trek has always been a product of the time. TOS had its time where it was those racism, black and white, those kind of stories were really, really important at the time. When TNG came out, we looked at things about sexual ambiguity and products of that time. Enterprise came out, it was about, the whole season 3 was about 9/11, right? And so we have a different time in our lives right now in this country, and politically it's very hostile, and it's very antagonistic, and it's very uncertain, and Discovery reflects that too. So as though Discovery is not traditional Star Trek that you may have grown up with, whether you grew up with TOS or TNG, it may not be, but at the same time is exactly like that, in which that is reflecting it's a mirror of the time, and I think they do a brilliant and in some ways subtle way of telling those stories that are very powerful, and it's very different. But at the same time, if you watch it and you listen to it and pay attention to it, and you can see it in the trailer for season 2 that it is classic Trek. It is, but it's just told from a different angle. And I'm very excited, and I couldn't be more in love with it. And so I hope you give it a chance if it's something you don't like, and if it's not, then that's fine too. And but that's for you. And I tell you though, for us, that we will tell stories the same way we've always told stories. So if you enjoy our stories, you'll enjoy our Age of Discovery just as much.
And it's very unique for you guys with Discovery, because it is something that you haven't been able to do in the past. There hasn't been a Star Trek show running at the same time as Star Trek Online.
That's right.
So this is unique for you guys.
Very unique. And it's going to be like that for a long time, because not only Discovery...
And you and CBS with Star Trek.
Yeah, so very exciting times, very great opportunities. I hope it will be along for the ride.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Have a good day and a safe trip back.
Thank you.
Cables. It's Gecko, guys.